Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. It is Saturday, November 28th, 2020. I'm Hanson alongside Shane Caldwell, and it's late on Black Friday, early Saturday morning here as we get ready to talk about some Week 12 quarterbacks. Shane, do you have any energy left from Thanksgiving to turn the page here?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I think we're going to get some high end guys, and we're going to go bargain shopping on Black Friday here for some bargain plays here as well. So yeah, I think we're definitely ready to roll for Week 12.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start with the expensive stuff here, and it's Patrick Mahomes. I haven't played him a ton this year, but he is terrific, and he's got the matchup against Tampa Bay here with the highest total on the board, 56 and a half. And of course, that's courtesy of betus.com.pa, our presenting sponsor. Thank you so much to them. So, highest total on the board, Shane. And, we were joking about it here before we hit the record button. You look at what Jared Goff did last week with Tampa Bay, they figured out the secret. Get some quick passes out. He just featured Kupp and Woods and just beat him to death with those underneath passes. And the way Mahomes can spread out the field with all those weapons, he's got Sammy Watkins back in the lineup, Hill, Kelsey, Robinson, Hardman. I mean, it's going to be a nightmare if they use that same script. So I'm going to get some lineups here where I pay up for him, and hope that the game script pays out with that highest total on the board.
Yeah, and you don't get Kansas City in the main slate very often because they're so awesome. They get to play on prime time a lot. So, and this is the 425 hammer. So I like it. The Patrick Mahomes is definitely a 425 hammer game here.
Absolutely. Now, who are you looking at here at the top for the expensive guys if you don't go
Uh,
with Mahomes?
Here's a guy that I think he has a really high ceiling. I think he's in a good spot here, and I think I actually like this game. I'm looking at Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills. Recently he's been trending in the right direction. I like his running ability. I like his weapons and his aggressive throwing down the field. His accuracy in the deep ball is much improved. I was looking at his matchup. He's at home against the LA Chargers. I do like this game overall. I think it's a game you can stack here. So when we're looking at this game, it's a 52 and a half over under on BetUS right now. And the Bills are favored by 4.5. So they have one of the higher implied totals, over 28 points. Now, interesting, the Chargers look like, a respectable matchup. You think a pretty good secondary. They look respectable, but I looked at the last 5 quarterbacks they faced. I'm going to name off these quarterbacks because this tells you that they might be a little bit fake. They might be a fraud in terms of being decent against the quarterback. They have faced Gardner Minshew, Drew Lock, Derek Carr, Tua Tagovailoa, and Joe Flacco, the last 5 quarterbacks.
Those
Now,
those
those
five
are
guys are not all pro this year.
yeah, they're not great. Some of them are really young, some are really old, some are really bad. So and all of those guys threw 2 or more touchdown passes against the Chargers, and the Chargers are giving up, even with that easy schedule against quarterbacks, they still give up over 20 fantasy points per game to quarterbacks. And then I remember in Week 4, the GOAT Tom Brady, one of the better quarterbacks they faced this year, put up 369 yards and 5 touchdowns against them. So there's capability here of Josh Allen having a big game through the air and on the ground, of course. So Josh Allen, 8,600 on FanDuel, 76 on DK. I think you can get him at lower ownership because the aforementioned Patrick Mahomes there, the elephant in the room there, in a good spot. And I don't think people are going to be going to Josh Allen as much here. Weather's looking good in Buffalo. Looks like a pretty good game here, and I think the Chargers can score on the other side, which I like that shootout back and forth game. The Chargers like to get in a lot of shootouts here, and really Buffalo does as well. So Buffalo, again, defense isn't great, so that Chargers can score on them, and Josh Allen will be slinging the ball around. And I like the matchups. The other thing about the Chargers defense, Melvin Ingram, their best pass rushers, out for this game, and Casey Hayward, by far their best corners, out for this game. So 2 critical pieces to stop in the passing game are out. And again, they're not playing Gardner Minshew or Drew Lock or any of these guys this week. They're playing Josh Allen. So let's fire up Josh Allen.
Nice. Yeah, good breakdown. I think you will get him at lower ownership. What do you think about Herbert on the other side? Because, if we do get the shootout, this is a guy who's had 7 straight games over 20 DraftKings points. It's just been so consistent. And what we're looking for here is that the guys meet at midfield for the coin toss and they kind of wink, wink here. Let's have another shootout. And
Exactly.
everybody agrees. So, what do you think about Herbert saving a few bucks with him?
Yeah, that's part of the reason I like this game. I like Herbert on the other side going up against Buffalo. I think you can pass against them as well, and I like his wide receivers and weapons for the Chargers. So I think Herbert's in a good spot here as well. I just slightly prefer Allen over him because I think Herbert's going to have a solid game, but not a massive ceiling game here. Similar to what Herbert did against Miami. He's over 20 fantasy points, but he doesn't, get to that like 30 plus threshold that he's capable of. So I think Josh Allen is fully capable and will get over 30 fantasy points. So that's why I like him as that pay up, kind of contrarian guy here. But yeah, Herbert, I mean, he's looking like definitely the rookie of the year, candidate and one of the best, rookie years ever by a quarterback. So I love Justin Herbert. I just don't know that he's my first choice this week, but it's a guy that I like. I like this game in general, as I talked about with Josh Allen.
Excellent. Well, before we get to the mid tier here, just want to make a quick request if you could. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button and the subscribe, get the alerts for our podcasts when they post. We're doing a position show for running backs and then also wide receivers and tight ends. So make sure you check those out for the Week 12 main slate. And I mentioned the mid tier. Guy I want to get into here is Mr. Teddy Bridgewater, 6,300 on DraftKings, and he's going back to play Minnesota. We've got a little bit of a revenge narrative. Uh, Healthy total here, 51 and a half on BetUS, and they are 3.5 point dogs. So, I'd like to see Teddy Bridgewater air it out a bunch against the Vikings. They've struggled against the pass. They've been a little bit better recently, solid against Chicago, but then Dallas had success. And Teddy Bridgewater, the last 2 games, he's had 2 passing touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown in each game. So he's one of those, multi-talented threats. And Vikings ranked 24th overall in yardage allowed passing. So I like Bridgewater here at a good price.
Yeah, I think you're going to get him at lower ownership for Bridgewater because he was out injured a game, so people kind of forgot about him, and they're probably nervous about him coming back. But if he's playing, you got to think he's a full go. Yeah, his wide receivers are awesome too. I mean, in terms of the amount of weapons he has, there's a lot of places for him to throw to. Awesome. Next guy I'm going to go down to these value guys here. This one gets a little bit sketchy, but I'm still going with it. I'm looking at Danny Dimes, and I
Okay.
always say with Danny Dimes, I hope I don't get Danny Nichols or Danny Pennies this time. And Daniel Jones, I like how the Giants, they're in a pretty good spot here. Big favorites. This is an ugly game. It's a 44 over under on BetUS, but they are 6 point favorites, so they still have a decent implied total, solid 25. The Giants are playing for that division. Everyone knows the NFC East is bad, so they have something to play for. And I like the matchup at Cincinnati. Cincinnati, who doesn't really have anything to play for, this should be pretty ugly for them, but not a great defense. Daniel Jones, I think, will be able to pass and run against them. And Daniel Jones, pretty amazing when he takes off running. He looks like he's as fast as Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray, except until he gets to the 10-yard line. Then
Yeah,
it's
right.
big,
Then it's
then it's
over.
big trouble. So if he can just not trip over the 10-yard line, I like Daniel Jones. I like his speed, man, and he's definitely good against Cincinnati, probably for some rushing yards and maybe another rushing touchdown. And I think he can throw a couple touchdown passes as well. He's got some pretty good receiver weapons out there that match up good against Cincinnati. And you're going to be able to get him for 7,200 on FanDuel. I think he'll be low on there. And then you can get the value play on DraftKings at 5,500. So again, you have rushing upside. I think he can do work in the passing game and a good matchup against Cincinnati and a team that really needs to win this to keep pace. See if they can get to 6 or 7 games, then they'll win the NFC East, right? That's the idea.
Right,
so,
exactly.
so
That's all you're
fire
going to
up
need.
and hope he's Danny Dimes. You got to fire him up for against the Cincinnati Bengals here.
All right. Well, another guy who I'm looking at who does some plenty of damage on the ground, it's Taysom Hill, and really great first week. And we were all over him at that value price. Now he's much more expensive, 6,200 on DraftKings. He had over 25 fantasy points last week. And, it looked a little bit shaky on that first drive, but settled down, had a nice rapport with Michael Thomas, and ended up having 233 yards passing, 44 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, and he had a good completion percentage, even with a couple drops. So I think he looked a little bit better passing the ball than most people expected. And, he showed that versatility on the ground. And New Orleans, the 6-point favorites against Denver, below average defense. And so I think he can pick them apart again. So you could go there and save a little bit of money off of Bridgewater, who I like as well, of course.
Yeah, you remember who my comparison was for Taysom Hill, who the stat line will remind you of last week? That people probably thought I was crazy too.
Who was it?
Lamar Jackson.
Oh,
If
correct.
you look
Yeah.
at the stat line, this is a Lamar Jackson stat line last week:
Yep.
233 yards, 49 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns. That's Lamar Jackson stat line. That's what I was compared to. So yeah, he gets the job done here in the rushing attack. So tough to bring down there. So not quite as fast as Daniel Jones. So
Right.
he's he's
Powerful.
definitely, he is. No, Daniel Jones is pretty fast too. Yeah, here's another value guy that I like. You can go down, and I like the game environment here. I like Derek Carr. Derek Carr's played great this year. It's just a matter of game script. Are they going to, hand the ball to Josh Jacobs 30 times? In this game on the road against Atlanta, I think it's going to be a get up and down type game. Could be a pretty high scoring game here. So I do like the game environment here. 53 over under on BetUS. And we got Vegas on the road as 3-point favorites. So that puts them at a 28 implied total. So you got a nice team total. I think you can exploit the Atlanta secondary. Everyone knows that. Atlanta's decent against the run, which means it's not that easy just to pound it all day against them. So they will pass the ball here. And he's got some good matchups. Maybe they can get Henry Ruggs going. I think definitely Aguilar's look good. Obviously Waller's good. So you can build some cheap stacks with Derek Carr here on the road against Atlanta, and you can mix in a couple Atlanta guys if you want, or one or two of those guys. So I think it's just a great environment for Derek Carr, and it's a game where he actually will have passing volume, and he's shown that he can produce in passing volume, that he can really get into shootouts and light it up here this year. He's not actually afraid to throw it deep anymore as well, which is nice. But before he wouldn't want to throw it deep. So I like Derek Carr as a value play. He's 5,700 over on DK and only 7,100 on FanDuel. And again, I don't think he's going to have a ton of ownership here.
Yeah, I like this play a lot. I'll have him in a bunch of lineups. He's my favorite guy on DraftKings under 6,000. I thought he looked excellent against Kansas City. 275, 3 touchdowns. I think that's the best he's looked in a long time. Looked comfortable, just sort of thriving in that offense. So, I mean, he made Aguilar look excellent. So,
Yeah.
and like you said, he's got Waller among others. So, I like Carr this week for sure. And so he is my favorite in that price range. But if you want to get really crazy in a GPP, I'm going to add one more quarterback to the mix. Mike Glennon, Shane. He's at
This one's funny.
4,600 on DraftKings. You talk about cheap stacks with Derek Carr and the Raiders. You can get an ultra cheap stack with Mike Glennon and a guy like Keelan Cole, who's only 3,600.
Can you remind people what team he's on? Because some people might not even know. I'm so
Who knows?
serious.
It's Jacksonville. It's the revolving door of quarterbacks.
Exactly.
And you look at his career stats. He's over 60% completion percentage, only 6.4 YPA. He's sort of an average quarterback. That's his history. But he takes care of the ball. He's had 36 career touchdown passes, only 20 interceptions. He's solid. And against Cleveland, I mean, the way to beat them is to pass the ball. And so, you get 230, 240 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, you're going to hit value at 4,600. So it's a way to get an expensive running back or two, or multiple expensive wide receivers who we like a lot of those guys. So check out the wide receiver tight end podcast for that. But again, not my favorite play, but if you play multiple lineups, GPPs, put him out there once, and it could pay off. And you, again, talk about low ownership.
Yeah, definitely low ownership. And I was telling you before the podcast, I also, to support that deep GPP play of Mike Glennon, Cleveland Browns defense, they're missing Myles Garrett, their best pass rusher, and Denzel Ward, their best cover corner. So they're missing two components there to stop the passing game. And Glennon does have a strong arm, so.
Absolutely. So, want to invite folks to join us as members if you'd like to get our lineups. We give out a full FanDuel lineup on Sunday for the main slate, cash lineup, and then two GPP lineups. And then we build our coach's clipboard for DraftKings. We give that out to members. It has highlighted core plays and pivots. And then we give out a full Yahoo lineup as well that you can plug and play. And it's gone well. We've had a great season, and we have a tremendous offer right now with BetUS. If you go make your first deposit at betus.com.pa for $149, you get a free membership with us all winter. It goes all the way till April 1st. So you're going to get every lineup for every slate in the NFL for the rest of the season through the Super Bowl. We cover every primetime game as well. And you're going to get every NBA slate, which starts in less than a month, and then every PGA lineup throughout the winter. So it's an awesome offer. We'd love to have you join us. So go sign up there, and then we'll get you an invite by email into our Discord, and that's where we give out our lineups. Social media. You can follow Shane at DET Sports Shane. You can follow me at Language Olympic. You can follow the coach at JOESARVADI. And you can follow all of us at DFS Coach Talk, and that's where you can find more information on that membership offer. Shane, any final thoughts here on the quarterback show?
No, we appreciate the support on the quarterback show. Just give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. We definitely appreciate it so we can keep giving this awesome free videos out with some good information.
Awesome. And do tune in to the wide receiver tight end show and the running back show. So, on behalf of Sugar Shane Caldwell and the rest of the DFS Coach Talk team, I'm Andrew Hansen. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next podcast as we look to crush it in DFS.